episode 67 of Piv's NXT Point of View podcast. My name is Bill Pivots. So last night was TakeOver The End. Very eventful night. Only 5 matches, but the matches were perfect. The event flowed. There wasn't any lag in the event. And I really had nothing to complain about. So let's get right into it. The advertised matches were Joe and Balor in a cage match for the NXT title, American Alpha and the Revival for the NXT Tag Team titles, Asuka and Nia Jax for the NXT Women's Championship, Shinsuke Nakamura and Austin Aries, and the debuting Andrade Almus against Ty Dillinger. We got a opening video that featured some of the former NXT stars like a Paige, Sami Zayn, Seth Rollins, Sasha Banks, and then how it transitioned to the current crop of stars, and it was very well done. That's one thing that WWE does very well, is their video packages are top of the line. So the first match was Ty Dillinger against Andrade Cien Almas. It was a good way to start the show. You have the debuting guy come out in the first match, and it was kind of a squash match. Obviously, Almas was going to go over, so you weren't going to have that kind of match in the middle of the card, because what other match would you open up with? So this obviously made sense. Ty Dillinger came out with a big reaction, and my first thoughts on Almas, I didn't care for his attire. He was wearing all white, like pants, overalls, and like this cap with a feather in his hat. Luckily, the pants came off. I didn't think I'd say that out loud. To reveal some sort of like blue and white tights. A lot better. There was a loud "Let's Go Ty" chant. They did that typical drop-down leapfrog spot, but when Ty Dillinger went down for Almas to go over, Almas dropped as well and landed a nice drop kick. Cool spot. I liked it. Just showed, these two worked well together pretty much all match, and it just showed that Dillinger is a great hand in the ring, and Almas, he's going to be a big guy in NXT. Ty caught him off the ropes with a tilt-a-whirl backbreaker. Throughout the match, there was a little hesitation between the two. I don't know if it was just timing or Almas was still getting used to the NXT ring, but there was just a little... I noticed it more when Almas went for like a springboard move. They kind of hesitated a little bit, waiting for the timing for Dillinger to get to the right spot. A little later, Almas went for a second rope moonsault. Ty rolled out of the way, but Almas landed on his feet, jumped, and hit the moonsault anyway. Almas was caught with a huge super kick. He did like a handstand on the top rope, and Dillinger just connected with a super kick right to the chin, and he got a really good near fall out of that. Almas came back with a double springboard knees to the back, and he landed a jumping bulldog and connected with a running double knees into the corner to get the win. Similar to like a Bronco Buster, but instead of legs spread, he had his knees facing forward and right into the face of Dillinger. Like I said, it was a good opening match, fast paced, get the crowd going. Almas looked good. Dillinger had a lot of offense in this one, and it worked well. The crowd was behind him a lot, but I think Almas' offense kind of turned the crowd into his favor. Just some of the stuff that we've seen. I've never seen it before in NXT, and the crowd showed a great deal of respect to Almas getting the win. No complaints here. Looking forward to seeing more of Andrade Cien Almas. We then got a video package that set up the tag team match. It was definitely going to be tough to top their first match, and after everything was said and done, I definitely think they did that. Typical, Revival wore down Gable early. He got the tag to Jordan, who took out both men with big drop kicks. Match broke down as all 4 men went at it in the middle of the ring. During part of this, the Revival went for stereo back suplexes. American Alpha countered, took them both down, and then landed in stereo ankle locks, and the crowd popped huge for that. Dawson landed a big uppercut, sending Gable to the outside, and they went after Jordan for a little bit after that. He was able to counter, and Gable landed a diving double clothesline off both men. American Alpha then landed double drop kicks and sent the Revival to the outside to recoup. The ref was distracted, and they hit Gable with a assisted diving leg drop as I think it was Dash Wilder held Gable over his back. Gable broke free and got the high tag to Jordan. He hit Dawson with a nice T-bone suplex and then tossed Dash up to let him come crashing down on the mat. He got the hot tag back to Gable, and they hit a dropkick German suplex combination for a great near fall. And obviously at this point we got a "This is awesome" chant. The Revival were going for a Doomsday Device-like move, but Gable caught Dawson in midair on Dash's shoulders and hit a belly-to-belly suplex. I don't know how. They looked like they landed a little weird, like on their side a little bit, but the fact that he was able to catch him, turn, and leap off of, I think it was Dawson's shoulders, was pure amazing. At this point, American Alpha went for Grand Amplitude. Dawson saved his partner. He sent Gable to the outside, and they hit Jordan with the Shatter Machine to get the win and become the first ever 2-time NXT Tag Team Champions. After the match, as the Revival left, American Alpha were there just recovering, pulling each other up. Two big men in like black tank tops and black pants came in and attacked American Alpha. They looked like what they could be, the twin child of Brodus Clay and D'Lo Brown, but they were just decimating American Alpha. And at this point, Paul Ellering walked out and stood on the ramp and watched these two men just dismantle the former champs. Those guys walked up, stood with Paul Ellering, and they walked out. At one point during the attack, they were chanting, "Who are you?" I'm not sure if they were going after, that was towards Paul Ellering or the two big guys, because I really hope it wasn't after Paul Ellering. Kevin Owens actually had a funny tweet about this. He said something along the lines, and to the Full Sail fans chanting, "Who are you?" at Paul Ellering, "I'm happy I don't wrestle there anymore," or something like that. And also after the loss, Big E said, "American Alpha, we'll see you on Monday." And he said, "Just kidding, I don't know anything." So that's what I first thought, actually, when American Alpha lost the titles, that they would be getting the call soon. But after the attack with these two guys, who I've seen on Twitter that they were called the Authors of Pain, but whoever they are, that American Alpha obviously is going to be staying in NXT for a little bit longer. As for the match, it was amazing. The double team moves, the near falls, the underhanded tactics that the Revival went through. It was an amazing match. The near falls, like I said, were just amazing. The post-match attack, loved it. But the fact that they are managed by Paul Ellering gives them an automatic sense of credibility, because Paul Ellering doesn't go around managing just random tag teams. He's got to see something special in a tag team like he did with the Road Warriors. So these two guys, it's going to be a big contrast between the two, these guys and American Alpha when they do face off. The tag division in NXT, now that Revival has the titles, I'm assuming Tommaso Ciampa and Johnny Gargano are going to be in line because they defeated them a couple weeks ago. And now you have American Alpha facing off these teams. So the tag team division is on fire right now. As Asuka was warming up, Bayley approached her and shook her hand, seemingly to wish her good luck. Third match was Austin Aries against Shinsuke Nakamura. And even after the music ended, the crowd was still singing along to Nakamura's music, like kind of humming along. I liked it. I liked it a lot. Some of the people on Twitter I saw were complaining that the Full Sail crowd was in it for themselves. But this one, I didn't mind it. Early in the match, there was a lot of transitions, counters going back and forth, both men kind of feeling each other out. After a submission attempt, Aries mocked Shinsuke's taunt, and Nakamura was pissed, and he landed some vicious knee strikes to the midsection of Aries. Aries landed an elbow to the back off the top rope and had his turn on offense. He kept targeting the neck with different submissions and holds. Nakamura landed a heel kick, which took Aries down, and gave himself a little breathing room there. He landed some huge kicks, keeping Aries down on the mat. He set Aries up at the corner and connected with the running knee to the gut. They went back and forth a little after that, and Aries hit his discus elbow, which sent Nakamura to the outside. Austin Aries landed a dive through the ropes and almost took down the whole barricade. He rolled Nakamura back in quickly and got a 2 count. Nakamura locked in a triangle choke. Aries got to the ropes. Aries countered the Kinshasa knee and locked in last chancery, but Nakamura this time got to the ropes. Aries hit a super Kanrana. Nakamura dodged a 450 splash after that. And at this point, they were fighting on the apron. Nakamura landed some strikes. He went for the running knee, but Austin Aries caught him with a Death Valley driver right onto the apron. He went back in the ring. The ref was counting because it looked like that could have been it, just driving him on the hardest part of the ring. Aries, at the count of 8 or so, with the ref's count of 8, he went for another dive through the ropes. Nakamura moved. He rolled Aries back into the ring. He hit a reverse exploder suplex and the Kinshasa to get the win. Another amazing match. I think I like the Sami Zayn Nakamura match better, but this one, very close second. It was just a very stiff match with all their strikes. The crowd was behind Nakamura the whole time. The submission attempts provided a good alternative to all the strikes, kind of slowing the match down, but still keeping it pretty intense. And that Death Valley driver spot on the apron was insane. I didn't get why Aries would go for that second dive when the ref was already at the count of 8 before that, but it's a little nitpick on my part. The match overall was great. I did expect Nakamura to win because I think he'll be Samoa Joe's next challenger. Spoiler alert, Joe retained the title at TakeOver Brooklyn or whatever the TakeOver special is, maybe even after Brooklyn. And Aries absolutely loses nothing in this match. He put up a hard-fought fight against Nakamura, and the stuff that both men pulled out was amazing. It just shows that Aries went one step a little too far to try to get the win, and it cost him at the end, but both men come out looking like stars here. Fourth match was the Women's Championship match of Asuka and Nia Jax. This was the wild card match for me because I'm not sure, like I've said in previous weeks, I didn't know the capacity of what Nia Jax can do. We've seen her limited role, but in a TakeOver title match, she's hit or miss. Asuka was aggressive early, really not backing down from Nia Jax. Nia headbutted her and then tossed Asuka around the ring like a ragdoll. Asuka tried different submissions, trying to wear her down, but Nia Jax just kept tossing her off and shoving her away and like shooing her. Nia bent Asuka around the steel post, almost bending her in half. She then halted Asuka's momentum again with a huge spinebuster, but Nia missed the leg drop that followed up, but because not a lot of damage was done to her, she recovered pretty quickly. Asuka took down Nia with a second rope dropkick and continued with back elbows and connected with the hip attack. But Nia caught Asuka off the ropes with a huge powerbomb and pinned her, but got a near fall. Asuka kicked out of the lackadaisical pin, locked in a huge armbar, and almost had Nia tap, but Nia Jax just wouldn't stay down. Asuka connected with two big kicks to the head. Nia Jax screamed. Asuka landed a third kick and then a running knee, I think it was a running knee, to the head to retain the Women's Championship. Wasn't a bad match. Like I said, I wasn't really expecting much, but it definitely exceeded my expectations. Nia held up her end of the bargain pretty well. Definitely a typical David versus Goliath match here. Asuka wasn't backing down. She was pulling out everything, trying to get the giant down, and Nia Jax was just shoving her off, just wearing her down with all the heavy blows that she was giving her. They played their parts pretty well. It was obviously Nia Jax's best match to date. I just don't know what's next for both women. Nia lost pretty decisively, so she's not owed. She shouldn't be asking for another title match. And Asuka's next challenger, I don't see it. I don't see anyone who could step up now and take her spot, or take Nia's spot as the next challenger. So it's a little weird in the NXT women's division right now, but Asuka's the... let's go back to Asuka Bayley 3 or 2. Would it be 3? I don't know. I lost track. Unless we go back to Asuka and Bayley at TakeOver Brooklyn, and that'll be Bayley's last match. That's the only thing I could see them doing once Bayley, quote-unquote, recovers from her injury. But other than that, there's really no other women right now that have built up the momentum to garner a... There's no other women that built up the momentum and the wins to warrant another title shot. Quote-unquote, earlier today, Andrea interviewed William Regal. He was talking about how excited he was for TakeOver, and tonight when Bobby Roode appeared from behind him, and William Regal kind of saw it out the corner of his eye and excused himself and then walked away. So he didn't appear at the end of the show like I thought he would after the title match, but I'm assuming with the next set of tapings taking place pretty soon that he'll be on those, if not at least one match, make an appearance. Which then led to the cage match between Samoa Joe and Finn Balor. They showed Neville at ringside. When they were setting up the cage, it actually looked smaller than the ones that they use on the main roster, but considering the arena, it kind of makes sense. You can't have anything too high that hits the lights or anything like that. During Balor's entrance, a steel fence appeared in front of him. He knocked one of down the sections and then made his way to the ring. I think Corey Graves said this is the fourth title match between the two. You had the two that Balor won, the one that Joe won at the house show, and then this one. So they've gotten a lot of mileage out of this rivalry. Early in the match, Joe made a quick attempt at the door, and Balor pulled him back. They went back and forth with some strikes. Joe ran into Balor as he was in between the ropes. He kind of threw him over the rope in between the cage and then kind of like sandwiched him between the ropes and the cage. He then hit his own version of the broski boot. Balor was heading for the door after that, but Joe pulled him away and hit a German suplex. Both men were on the cage at this point, climbing out. Joe jumped and connected with an enziguri to the back of Finn Balor, and he fell to the floor. A little later, Balor had his turn. Joe was between the ropes and the cage. Balor connected with the soccer kick from the top rope. He actually connected this time. Shocker. But Joe hit the ropes and crotched Balor, who landed in a not-too-fun position. Joe then planted Balor with a one-handed slam. He went for the muscle buster, but Balor countered into a sunset flip pin. Both men again were standing on the rope. Balor hit him with the sling blade off the ropes and got a near fall. He hit the sling blade again, but again Joe kicked out. Joe hit the senton splash and a muscle buster, but Balor kicked out this time. Balor hit a third sling blade and two shotgun drop kicks in the corner. He then hit the coup de grace for another near fall. He went for 1916, but Joe countered and locked in a sleeper hold. He couldn't get the coquina clutch all the way in, so it was kind of half-hearted there. Balor escaped and hit another foot stomp. At this point, he was eyeing the top of the cage, saying either escape, But he went to climb. It looked like he was going to go for a super coup de grace. But Joe pulled him down, slammed his head against the cage, and hit a muscle buster from the middle rope to retain the NXT title. That final spot just blew this match out of the water. Better than their other two matches, not counting the house show, the other two title matches. The cage match definitely added another level to the intensity of this match. I liked it a lot. I don't know if that finish was like how contrived it was. It just looked like they set it up a little too much. It took a little while to set up, but the execution, it was amazing. They had to go somewhere because we've seen other finishes before between these two. So going the next level with the second rope muscle buster was just insane. And I'm not sure if some of the matches ran long or what the case was. They just felt rushed in this match. I wouldn't be surprised if this was not the longest match on the card. I was expecting Samoa Joe to win, with Finn Balor rumored to be getting called up soon. You're not going to put the title back on him right now. And Samoa Joe is the best. Yeah, he's the best on the NXT roster right now. And taking the title off him would have just halted any momentum he would have had. Like I said earlier, I was expecting Rude to come out on stage after the cage was lifted and Samoa Joe was celebrating, but I'm glad they held him off to either TV or sometime later. The show had a lot else going on, but they didn't really need Bobby Roode right now. Overall, it was just another great TakeOver special. The opening match was good for what it was. Almus really didn't show us everything that he had, but he gave us enough to whet our appetite there. The tag match was amazing. I wasn't expecting the Revival to get the win, but it was just another great match between these two teams. And I like the post-match attack. Introduces another new team, kind of derails American Alpha's targets right now, so we can go back to the Revival and Tommaso Ciampa and Johnny Gargano in the coming weeks. Women's match was good. Really have no complaints with Nia Jax, what she did there. Austin Aries Nakamura was a slugfest, and the cage match was just a war that these two have built up towards. 5 matches, like I said, but each one held their own and was a great TakeOver special. As for TakeOver, there were pre-sale for TakeOver Brooklyn, which is on August 20th, and I found a promo code, and I am going back to TakeOver Brooklyn, second year in a row. I didn't go for the lower bowl like I did last time. I went section like 209, I believe I am. I've been to multiple wrestling shows in the 200s. The view is fine. I'm on the hard camera side, but up a level, so I'm pretty much in line with the ring. The ramp will be to my right. So I'm looking forward to it. Got my ticket. If you guys are going to be there, I hope to see you. If you're not, get a ticket now. Tickets are selling out fast. I saw on SeatGeek, they're like $75, $80 for that top row, or like that top section. So if you're looking to it, I would definitely go get those tickets now. And if you guys want, follow me on Twitter at @bpiv_sports. And if you don't mind, rate, review the show on iTunes, Podbean. I also post a show on YouTube as well, and anywhere else you guys listen to this show. All right, guys, thanks for checking out episode 67. I'll be back next week with episode 68, where they start a whole new set of tapings. Peace.